Hello everyone. How are y'all doing today? My name is PanPan. Welcome to the Bamboo Grove. Today we are going to be watching MoreParz and learning about some cute and or really scary animals. But I've got my food, drinks, a little bit of honey. Let's go. Sorry, brain quit for a sec. Forgot what button to hit. Alright.
This seal is such a menace that he routinely gets the cops called on him.
He's so cute.
Introducing our protagonist, Neil the seal, a
Neil
600
the
kilo
seal.
absolute unit of a southern elephant seal from my home state of Tasmania.
He is a bit of a big boy.
In the land down under, who is known for, above all else, being an absolute fucking menace to polite society. But despite his crimes, we all still...
Well, you know what? Maybe polite society should be more polite. He wouldn't be a menace.
truly love him. But what are his crimes? Well, see, he seems to just fucking hate traffic cones and road safety in general, has regularly been caught trespassing, and then once he has been caught trespassing, belligerently screaming at locals because
His yard is your yard.
they won't give him his fucking fish,
What?
and has been known to just block roads by plopping his fat ass down directly
That's
in the middle
cute.
of them. However, hands down, the funniest shit he has ever done was just straight stopping this random lady from going to work. I shit you not. This motherfucker crawled out of the ocean, up the
That's
beach,
great.
crossed the road, absolutely fucking bodied this woman's
dude.
poor letterbox, and then proceeded to plant himself directly in front of her fucking car.
Sounds
She
about
was
right.
then unable to go to work because this half-ton beefcake was camping her driveway for so damn long. Local news had time to drive out to her house and cover the fucking story.
Hey now,
Now, this is a lot of menace for a
you know, I wouldn't mind. Get a free day off. Get to hang out with Neil. It's a good deal.
single seal to cause. But the funniest part of this is, old mate isn't even fully grown. He's like 5 years old. If you think he can fuck things up now, wait until he's nearly 2 solid-ass tons of blubber and takes issue with the wall of your house. I do not think that seal damage is covered on my fucking insurance plan, dude. People get shocked when I whip out like a flawless American accent, because I've got like a really thick Australian one, right? But I am not above just... Dude, I can't wait to go get like burgers later, man. I'm like so hyped for burgers, dude. I fucking love cheeseburgers. Dude, you been watching the NFL?
Alright.
Super Bowl was crazy this year, man. Eagles just like fucking dumpstered the Chiefs, bro.
You know, I've never,
It was crazy.
I never seen what he actually looks like before, but now it makes sense. His little guy there is just recoloring of himself. Oh yeah.
Australia lost a war to emus.
Ah,
But how? How the f
I've heard of this.
did we lose
but
an armed
I'm not super in depth on the story.
conflict with flightless birds? Well, it all started in 1932 when farmers in Western Australia wanted to grow wheat. There was just one major problem. That's emu territory, and emus really like wheat. And coming in at 6 foot tall and 40 kilos in weight, they can eat a lot of it. So when breeding season came around, the emus
That's a
migrated
big
through the
bird.
farmland, and these poor farmers were overwhelmed by a tyrannid swarm of man-sized
Yeah, to be fair, all members of the rat type family, except kiwis, are formidable creatures. I wouldn't want to face any kind of big group of them, let alone an army.
poultry, 20,000 emus strong. These
Oh, yeah.
feathered tanks
Hell
then
no.
proceeded to completely steamroll through the fences into the
Yep.
fields and started laying waste to the wheat.
As you do.
Farmers attempted to fight back the initial wave with rifle fire, but their efforts were, putting it lightly, completely useless. This ginormous L made the farmers pretty bloody angry, so they gathered together and went to the government to ask for help. Sir, 20,000 emus have hit the wheat fields. Fuck me, mate. And so the government declared the emus enemies of the state and sent in the army to commence the Great Emu War. The entire 7th Heavy Artillery Division was deployed to WA, armed with 2 LMGs, 10,000 rounds, and the sole objective to blast anything with feathers. A little bit excessive for an overgrown turkey, if you ask me. And upon their first deployment, the army immediately ran into a major problem. Emus are fast.
Yeah. They also, they're also pretty thick. It's gonna take a big weapon to bring it down.
Really fast, clocking a top speed of 50 kilometers an hour, which meant that once they opened fire, the emus would immediately bolt out of range of their weapons. But they still took a crack at it, and then immediately stopped when both LMGs jammed after only dropping 12 emus. This embarrassment led the army to retreat and rethink their plan. So a few weeks later they returned, this time mounting the LMGs on trucks in an attempt to run the birds down. However, this also didn't work, because after figuring out that those trucks meant they were about to be turned into a KFC family bucket, the emus started leaving scout birds who would warn the flock.
That's really smart. I didn't know a bird could think on that level.
Of the approaching trucks, which gave them all enough time to book it before the army even got there. And whenever they did catch the emus, they found out they were kind of... Because emus are mostly feathers, and there's a lot of places you can hit on them without doing any damage, meaning it was taking around 10 bullets for every 1 bird. So after a month of blood, sweat, tears, and 10,000 rounds of ammunition, the army managed to bring down 960. The population was 20,000. This was an issue as
Yeah, that's just a small drop in the bucket. And you gotta wonder, like, how much is being spent on this endeavor?
Unlike America, our defense budget is not a bottomless pit.
Right.
So the army had wasted all that money to achieve absolutely all. So the government just kind of built a really long, really shit fence around the farms and called it a day. How the did we lose this?
Wasn't the starting problem? Like, wasn't the starting problem that they don't care about the fences? They just went right through them. So why the hell is building another fence gonna work? Especially if it was a shitty fence.
Boomerang and a cricket bat.
Yeah, probably.
I have been assaulted by a cow. One of the cows is called Monty, and he's an adolescent. And I made the mistake of turning around for like 5 seconds. And in that 5 seconds, this 500-kilo cow runs up behind me while I'm sorting out his food and tries to f***ing mount me.
Oh, damn. Oh, man. It's bad. Like, that could have ended really badly. But that got me, for some reason.
He nearly f***ing squished me. If I hadn't been hitting
Hey.
legs,
You're alright. You're here. You posted.
I would have been squashed by a horny f***ing cow.
Yeah, we all get a bit crazy when we get horny.
This bird has to rearrange its organs and skeleton just to lay an egg. This cute little guy.
Kiwis, man. They're cute, but they were dealt a raw deal.
The kiwi bird, a species of ratite native to New Zealand this time, and the absolute poster child for getting cucked by evolution. You see, this walking featherball is actually directly related to the emu, ostrich, and cassowary, being a member of the same family of flightless birds. However, there is a problem. You see, the rest of the kiwi's bloodline actually looked up a build guide before picking their stat spread, and as such made sure to trade the whole flying thing.
They got the good builds. Left the kiwi with the leftovers. Got the wretch starting class.
For something useful. With all of his cousins specking into speed, size, and some kind of offensive capability. So that leaves the question, what
if anybody watching is from Australia, I have a question. The ibis, is it really that bad? Like, I've seen a whole song about how the ibis is just the worst bird, and apparently it's over there. So let me know.
Did the Kiwi pick to make up for not flying? Absolutely nothing. Kiwis are tiny in comparison to their relatives, coming in at only 4 kilos in weight and 50 centimeters tall. This is because Kiwis evolved largely on an island with no natural predators, so they downsized and traded out the knife feet and bloodlust for just being a little guy with a good attitude, which honestly worked pretty well for them. Until the British did British things, and now they have to deal with cats and dogs trying to eat them. And considering this build was not designed for PvP, they have been clapped so hard by invasive species that they are now unfortunately an endangered animal. But getting shafted by the British is just the beginning of the generational violation of the Kiwi, because these poor feathered fruits can't even reproduce without getting over. You see, the Kiwi bird's cousins are famous for laying huge eggs. I'm talking
just massive. And this poor bird.
Eat your protein macros in one meal-sized eggs. And you would think that is because they are large. And you would be wrong. Because their vertically challenged cousins have to lay eggs the same size.
Look at that. That is just not right. Like, that does
A Kiwi bird lays eggs 20% the size of their body. With the egg being so bloody large, it rearranges their internal organs and stretches their rib cage just to be able to hold the thing. For reference, that is like a human giving birth to a 15-kilo child. That's not a bun in the oven anymore.
Fuck it. Like, just thinking about that hurts me.
Well, that's a whole bakery. There was a big-ass huntsman that used to live in my house, and I'm gonna be honest, dude, I kind of just let him hang out.
He ain't small, I'll tell you that much.
No, he's a big boy.
I was quite happy to let him just chill, because I never saw a mosquito or a fly in that house. So he was paying rent in his own way, you know?
See, I'm not afraid of spiders, but I don't know if I'd ever go actively petting one. No, that's not true, actually. We had an orb weaver, big, golden silk orb weaver outside the house one day. Built a big web, and I would go over and poke it sometimes. See, this is really dumb. It's not poisonous, but the bite would hurt. But I would see if it was fast enough to bite me. And I tried a couple of those, but I got away too fast for it.
Scientists just de-extincted a 12,000-year-old dog. Well, kinda. You see, a bioengineering company called Colossal has dedicated...
I don't know how I feel about this. Like, honestly, if the world is no longer built in a way that an animal can survive on its own, then I don't think we should be trying to put them back into the world. Like, unless humans were the reason for the disappearance, if they naturally disappeared, I think we need to leave it the fuck alone.
Itself to doing what every single Jurassic Park film has told us is a bad idea.
Yes.
Bringing back extinct species. And recently, they made a breakthrough. They have managed to bring back the 12,000-year-old direwolf. You know those big-ass puppies from Game of Thrones that the Starks had? Yeah, those were actually a real-ass animal, alive during the late Ice Age. And the best way I can describe them to you is, basically a wolf on steroids. Yeah, buddy! These things were bigger, faster, and stronger, estimated to have the highest bite force out of any canine.
Yeah.
And in a move that I'm sure
most animals back during the time it was alive were just bigger, as a matter of principle.
has no implications. They have been
I don't remember completely why, but I believe it had to do with oxygen availability being higher back then.
Managed to bring these bad boys back to life. These two little guys are now 6 months old and have been living on a private plot of land with 24/7 veterinary care. However, they've only just been shown off to the public, with the company going so far as to get a photo op with George R.R. Martin holding one of these adorable little killing machines, showing that man will literally interact with an extinct species before he finishes that last book. There is, however, one small problem. This isn't technically a direwolf. You see, by merit of them being extinct,
it is the cute but bastardized hybrid that we really shouldn't be messing with.
Short of specking into necromancy, you can't exactly bring them back. Which is where this guy comes in. You see, the grey wolf shares 99.5% of its genetic code with the direwolf. So, using CRISPR gene editing
makes it unfit to survive in this world. Things were more extreme back then. There was more prey. It was, harsher. It needed to be built that way. They don't have the biomass in most areas to support a creature of true direwolf size coming back in full force.
They're basically
It'll cause all kinds of ecological issues.
Toss the grey wolf back into the spore creature creator, then using the code found in direwolf fossils as a build guide, juiced the out of it, boosting the size slider and putting some extra points into strength, as well as adjusting its head shape and teeth. All in all, they made a total of 20 edits to 14 genes, producing the closest thing we
playing
can get to a direwolf short of time travel, which is cool as I give it 5 years before a man-made horror beyond comprehension breaks out of that lab and we are all playing Resident Evil.
Yeah. And it's gene editing and all that is just a really stupid idea. People are gonna mess around and shit's gonna get out of hand.
This bear was actually a soldier. But how?
Oh,
You see,
I
it was
love this bear.
1942, and the 22nd Polish Artillery Company were passing through the mountains of Iran on their way to the front lines to fight the Nazis. While passing through a town on their way, they were stopped by a young Iranian shepherd looking to trade with them for rations and a Swiss Army knife. When the Poles asked what he had to offer in return, the young shepherd produced a burlap sack containing an orphaned Syrian brown bear cub. You see, this bear's mother was shot by hunters, which is how he ended up in a low-tech Pokeball being offered as a trade deal.
See, humans just gotta fuck it all up.
The Polish looked at the bear and, clearly seeing the potential for insane dad law, said,
"Damn good deal."
And in the most worthwhile trade deal in history, parted ways with their supplies in exchange for a Pokemon, adopting him into their ranks and naming him Wojtek. And the 22nd immediately set about raising this little man as a proper bear and soldier.
Maggots!
As a baby, they would feed him condensed milk out of an empty vodka bottle, as well as feeding him on the cartoon bear diet consisting of fruit, honey, and marmalade. They also appointed a soldier as his caretaker.
I don't think that would be too good for a bear long term.
Wasted no time in showing Wojtek how to fit in with the rest of the army, teaching Yogi's little cousin to wave, salute, and even march. While not undergoing rigorous military training, Wojtek would hang out with the soldiers. He drank coffee with them in the morning, trained with them in the day, and when they all got shit-faced in the evening, he would wrestle with them.
I don't care how much I trust a bear. It's gonna crush me. Like, if it just slips and falls, I'm gonna die.
You know how much a brown bear has to love you to wrestle you?
Yeah, no.
On top of double rations, they would also feed Wojtek treats in the form of beer and cigarettes. They let the bear have smoko. Eventually, Army High Command heard about this and were having absolutely none of it.
Yeah,
You
I can see
pets were not allowed in the army, which meant Wojtek had to go.
He is not a pet. He is a good boy and one of the guys.
Or did he? Because the 22nd Artillery Company officially enlisted him.
I'm doing my part.
Hell yeah.
I'm doing my part. I'm doing my part.
Wojtek was given a
Oh, God. Wojtek was a hell of a bear.
serial number and granted the rank of private. So when confronted about the very conspicuous bear in their ranks, they simply went, "That's not a bear, that's Private Wojtek."
Huh.
And Wojtek took his new role very seriously, as during the Battle of Monte Cassino in 1944, Wojtek began using his bulk to transport artillery shells and ammo to soldiers engaged in combat. They had a fucking resupply bear. For his bravery, he was promoted to the rank of corporal, and the 22nd changed their insignia to a bear carrying an artillery shell. This absolute unit
So cool.
smoked, drank, and dropped artillery on the Nazis. Based.
Yeah. Yeah. As awesome as he was, not really the kind of life bear should have, because you take it out of the wild, you can't put it back. And he had to spend the last of his days in a zoo. And as well cared for as I'm sure he was, he can't live out his wild instincts in a zoo.
Australia has just found zombified bugs. That's
Okay.
right, we are closer to the Walking Dead Down Under than you think. You see, just recently, a scientist by the name of Dr. Francois Broussard made a trek out to the remote savannah of the Northern Territory with the goal of finding and cataloguing brand new
Ginza.
species of
Welcome to
insects
String.
unknown to science.
How are you doing?
I mean, me personally, I think we've found more than enough bugs, especially considering that half of them can send me directly into the fucking soil. But what do I know, right? Anyway, on his trip to the middle of fucking nowhere, he stumbled across a colony of spiny savanna ants, which is a pretty normal thing
I
to
think
find
I
out
know
there.
where
However,
he's going
getting
with this.
closer, he noticed something a little off. You see, the main ant colony was fine.
Yeah.
Completely normal. However, the several
I'm just hanging out right now, learning about Australia and its wild animal. Then we'll probably jump into Final Fantasy after.
disfigured and deformed ant corpses clamped onto shoots of grass
Yeah.
surrounding the colony like a Bug's Life version of Vlad the Inhaler.
I know what this is.
Yeah, those were significantly less normal. Broussard, mildly unsettled by the ant gore on his timeline, took samples for inspection and upon getting a closer look, realised something both really cool and really, really spooky. The ants
Yeah.
had been overtaken by fungus.
Big old red ones.
Yeah,
More accurately,
big
a
ol'
previously
red one.
unknown strain of the cordyceps fungus. Infamous
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the cordyceps fungus was the inspiration behind the infection vector for The Last of Us zombie outbreak. I believe it was a fungal thing instead of a virus.
around the globe for its ability to create zombie bugs.
Yeah,
And
cordyceps is a terrifying thing. And currently, by my understanding, the only reason it doesn't mess with things that aren't bugs is because our body temperature is too high. If we had a lower core temperature, they could possibly rewrite us, take us over.
what does it is
Scary thought.
unbelievably horrific. You see, it begins with a spore landing on an ant and producing a thin rope-like strand that penetrates and attaches to their exoskeleton. At which point, the ant gets a little timer on his hotbar, counting down
Yep.
to a family reunion with his ancestors. Once inside, the fungus begins to take control of the ant's body and brain function,
It's just
completely
wild.
changing their behavior, replacing their colony-focused mindset with one single goal: climb. Its fungus-riddled mind drags its rapidly deteriorating body to the closest high point, which is usually a plant,
Been
with
having
its
a
final
good
act
day
being
so
to
far.
clamp its mandibles
How's yours?
onto the stem in a death grip, finally succumbing to the infection and being completely consumed. Its corpse blossoming into a
this-
fully grown
wow.
cordyceps fungus and raining down spores onto the rest of the colony to continue the cycle of infection.
Fungal spores would be a wildly effective vector in humans. I just am so thankful our body temps are too high for this to be a thing.
Now look, I know this fungus is found elsewhere in the world, but it's a new strain and it was found in Australia. With my luck, I'm going to be playing The Last of Us against couch-sized spiders within the fucking week.
Genzo, it's about 1:30 here, if that's what you're asking.
Who wins? 100 men or one gorilla? Well, to get your answer, we're going to have to look at our fighters for the most anticipated cage match of 2025. And in the red corner, standing at an impressive 6 feet tall and weighing a ridiculous 220 kilos, we have one singular silverback gorilla. Stepping into the ring to settle the score against humanity for what we did to Harambe, this fighter
Hell
is
yeah.
bringing some
Take them all out.
impressive physical strength, capable of lifting up to
Yeah. The Harambe thing just makes me so mad every time I hear about it. If you, as a parent, are not responsible enough to keep your child from going into the monkey exhibit or the gorilla enclosure, you A, do not deserve to be a parent. B, I'm gonna stop before I get myself in trouble. You just don't deserve to be a parent.
800 kilos of weight.
That gorilla died because of your ignorance.
Meaning that if it gets its hands on you, a gorilla is more than capable of picking you up and
And
doing
yeah,
you the same way
Australia's
that Hulk
full of all kinds of crazy stuff. I want to go visit there one day.
did Loki. Now, on top of being stronger than Eddie Hall, they also have an
Denzo, if you're asking about what happened with Harambe, some time ago, a kid ended up falling into the gorilla enclosure of where Harambe was. And it's been a while. I don't remember exactly what happened. But as a result of actions taken by, I believe, the gorilla, I'd have to look it up again. But more or less, by the end of it, it was deemed too dangerous to keep alive. And all because of people, innocent gorilla was put down.
real reach advantage with a fucking 2.6 meter wingspan, which is a fairly major problem because a right hook from a gorilla produces 2,700 pounds of force.
That's an
To put that into
insane
perspective,
amount of power.
the human skull shatters at 1,400. So if Winston hits you with a haymaker, your
Oh,
head
yeah.
is going to pop
You'd be
like
done.
a fucking watermelon. And with the cage fight following the Mortal Kombat rule set, we can also factor in the gorilla's bite. Because despite being a pretty gentle herbivore in the wild, they have one of
Aww.
the highest bite forces on the planet at 1,300 psi. That is 100 psi more than a polar bear. And now with our
Damn.
fighter statistics out of the way, let's get
A polar bear, something else you never want to mess with. If you're out there and you see a polar bear, you're already done. Like, if it can see you, you can see it, it's gonna close the distance on you before you can do anything about it. Unless you have a large caliber rifle.
down to business. Can our gorilla win a fight against the 100 average men in the blue corner? Place your bets. Let's see who comes out on top. Yeah, look, I'm going to keep it real with you. Even with those stats, Winston here is getting bodied. I'm sorry, he's going back to the spawn room. Do not pass
Yeah.
go. Do not collect $200.
Gorillas
Direct-
have a lot of power, but short-lived energy. And so eventually it'd just be a numbers game for the humans. How many do we lose before we overpower it?
They're hanging out with Harambe in heaven. 100 people, it's just too fucking many. He's getting
Yeah.
jumped. However, not to say he's not going to take a few with him.
Oh, yeah, he'll
My guess is
definitely,
one guy
definitely will wipe out a good number of people, but not all of them.
runs up and gets swatted across the cage like a toddler, shatters his ribs against the bars. Second guy gets grabbed by the leg and given the Hulk treatment. About 6 other guys
Yep.
cop swings to the head and die instantly from broken necks. One dumbass is probably going to try to hit him off the top rope and get done the same way that Omni-Man did Nightwing.
Oh,
But at that point, the crowd probably jumps in and
Brutal.
realizes that there are still about 90 of them and
Yeah.
it's over. Not that the fight even needs to happen, but it wouldn't be the first time we lost a gorilla to human stupidity.
Yep, fucking people. Harambe did not need to die.
This is the deadliest snake in the world. Introducing the inland taipan, and being the deadliest venom noodle in the world, I will give you exactly one guess as to where it's
That
found.
is a mean snake.
It's Australia, of course it's fucking Australia. Be so serious here. Where the else did you think you were going to find it? Canada?
Yeah,
More specifically, as the name suggests,
Canada.
the taipan is...
I don't even know what species of snakes Canada has. I've never looked into that.
is found inland in the outback, luckily extremely far from civilization, because
That's
this
good.
homicidal hospital hose is the definition of size doesn't matter, because despite having extremely small fangs for a venomous snake, coming in at only 6.2 millimeters, the taipan is here to show you that you
I've never had a poisonous snake as a pet, but I have had a couple of snakes. I love them. I've had a black rat snake and a red tail boa. He was real pretty.
absolutely f***ing
She had too big dick, though, and ended up rehoming her to someone that could get her prey items of proper size. No, boas aren't poisonous. Neither are rat snakes.
can feel less than an inch, because those fangs contain the statistically
Technically, no snakes are poisonous. If you don't know the difference between poison and venom, venom affects you if you get bit. Poison affects you if you bite something. So, it's not 100%. Venom can also get you if you ingest it, but have like an ulcer or other stomach wound that leads to the bloodstream. But yeah, it's an important difference.
deadliest snake venom on the fucking planet. Yeah, taipan venom is a pina colada of pain, containing, but not limited to, hemotoxins to cause blood clots, myotoxins for paralysis and necrosis, nephrotoxins to shut down your kidneys,
Damn.
and 3 different kinds of neurotoxin. Needless
Why?
to say, if it bites
I guarantee you don't hunt anything bigger than rats and badgers. Like, why do you need all that?
you, you will get a headache, vomit up the entire contents of your stomach, collapse to the ground in agonising pain, and then
Yeah.
your heart and lungs will stop, sending you to meet God
Yeah,
in
everything,
under
is gonna
15
quit.
minutes. And that venom is so fucking potent that one bite contains enough toxin to do that to 100 people. But
Jesus.
the funniest part of this snake's venom is that in the wild, they only hunt rats and fucking mice.
Yep.
The deadliest venom on the planet. And they
Tiny ass creatures. Why do you need to be the most dangerous thing on the planet?
are using it to pack up Remy the rat. It's like hunting a rabbit with a fucking AWP.
That's the cutest f***ing thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Ah,
Dolphins get
oh
drunk.
god.
But why?
Dolphins are especially messed up little animals. They're smart enough to cause a bunch of problems. But I have a theory. I've noticed among humans and other intelligent animals, the smarter something appears to be, the more likely it is to be an asshole.
Well, you see, the dolphin is by far and away the smartest animal in the ocean. In fact, they're actually the second smartest thing on the planet, just behind you and me.
Yep.
This means they
And they're
are smart
assholes.
enough to understand that the ideal way to spend your night is more plastered than Chad and Max on your average Cold Ones episode. There is just one problem. Last I
Yeah.
checked, there's no bottle-o and bikini bottom. So how does a dolphin get fired for
It's really interesting what they do.
all? Simple. They abuse pufferfish. You see, due to the lack of
I feel bad for the little guy, though. Like, he is just chewed on by dolphins so they can have a good time. Like, just sucks.
underwater alcohol, dolphins need to find other ways to get their fix, which is where SpongeBob's driving instructor comes in. You see, pufferfish
Yeah,
contain this
I'll be in the
really
Discord.
cool and totally not dangerous substance called tetrodotoxin. What is tetrodotoxin? It's only one of the most potent natural neurotoxins on the
Yeah.
fucking planet. This
Yeah.
will freeze your heart and lungs in under
They have the same mentality as a human does. It might mess them up, but they don't care. They just want to have a good time.
an hour with a tiny dose, and it's the reason why cooking a pufferfish requires a dexterity check so you don't, hit the poison gland and get yourself deleted.
I don't care how professional the chef is. I will never eat a pufferfish. Not taking that risk.
Now, puffers carry this as a defense mechanism as poison accumulates in their organs and skin. Why is that important? Well, you see, I kind of lied. Dolphins don't get drunk. They get high on neurotoxin.
Yep.
Pods of dolphins will bully pufferfish until they inflate, then partake in a literal puff-puff-pass. By
Right?
lightly
It's just not
squeezing
worth
the
it.
puffer in their mouth, they receive a small dose of neurotoxin, which has a narcotic effect, allowing Flipper here to trip balls before passing the unhappy basketball onto the next submarine stoner.
So
Flipper
messed
and
up.
friends saw the deadliest neurotoxin on the planet and said, "Fuck it, let me try some of that."
Right? I mean, that's pretty much humans in a nutshell. Like, throughout history, somebody had to be the first one to try all the dangerous, toxic shit we learn about and find out that we can't eat that. Can't talk today. Find out that we cannot eat that.
This isn't a spider. It's a snake.
I love this thing.
Introducing the Iranian spider-tailed horned viper. As the name suggests, native to Iran, and you are all probably wondering why the f*** this snake has decided to attach a cosplay of the average Australian resident to his tail.
Because he's
The
smart.
answer is food. You see, every known snake species is a predator. Some eat Bambi, others eat Remy, and the spider tail, not unlike myself, absolutely fucking loves KFC. Further, birds
Damn. Now I want chicken.
famously tend to fly, and last I checked, nope ropes don't have wings. So, how does this viper get his zinger box? The answer is again, food. You see, birds eat insects, and the spider tail knows this. So, rather than trying to chase his prey down, this lazy fucker has evolved the
Yeah, the snake-tail viper is crazy cool. One of my favorite snakes, hands down.
evolutionary equivalent of DoorDash. You see, when a viper feels like a meal, it'll start the hunt by finding a nice rocky outcrop to curl up on like a couch. And due to the camouflage on his scales, this snake becomes practically invisible.
Yeah, you can't
Once
sound
he's nice and cozy, he begins to
Metal Gear
slowly
reference.
wiggle his tail back and forth in front of his face, perfectly mimicking the motion of an insect. Think of
That
this as
looks
him
almost good enough to fool people.
placing his Uber Eats order. Meanwhile, up in the air, our undercooked chicken tender is flying around when, holy shit, a free meal! What a delectable bug just sitting there on that rock. And so, Tweety Birdie swoops down to grab himself an insect Happy Meal. And just as he's about to reach his meal,
Bam.
this spider can remove your limbs.
Oh, God. I used to live in Indiana before Florida, and these things were a massive problem. One of my grandma's co-workers actually got bit by one next to her eye, and if she hadn't gone to the hospital as quickly as she had, she could have lost her eye.
But how? Introducing the
messed
brown
up spider.
recluse, native to the United States of America, and a prime example of
Yeah, the brown recluse and the black widow are the two main spiders in America that you have to worry about.
don't judge a book by its cover. Because despite only coming in at a huge 2 centimeters in length and rocking the spider equivalent of default character customization, this little f***er is a level 500 rot build.
Yeah, and it's so unassuming, and from a distance, you wouldn't really be able to tell it apart from other spiders. So people will try to move it or smash it and end up bit, and then your skin starts to rot away.
That gives Melania a run for her money. You see, a bite from a recluse starts in the most American way possible, with you accidentally stepping foot onto his private property, causing him to
America.
exercise his Second Amendment rights. But considering a spider can't really hold a gun, he's gonna settle on biting your ass.
Yeah.
Now, that initial bite's pretty painless. You smack him away, all's well. There is just
Yeah, they are very defensive. If you see one, the way they lay their eggs, they build like a webbed dome covering the eggs, and they'll sit on top of it. And they will not move. They will not run away. They will fight you to the death. And if you get bit, you have to go to the hospital.
one small problem. Congratulations, you are now the proud owner of necrotic venom coursing through your veins, which at first does nothing. You walk back to your house, the bite starts to sting a little more. You feel sick. The wound swells, and the blood vessels around the bite burst, turning it a deep red. Over the next few days, that colour shifts from red to purple to black.
A huge tip for dealing with venomous animals that bite you. If you get bit by anything and you can capture it, and then when you go to the doctor, show that to them so they can identify it and have their best chance at saving you. Because there's a good chance if you don't know what attacked you, there's no good solution they can give you. And also, if you get bit by something invasive or non-native, like pet that escaped, a lot of your local hospitals will not have the venom, the anti-venom, to give you. And acquiring that is of a very time-sensitive nature. So the less time they waste trying to figure out what got you, the better off you are.
As the venom literally destroys and kills the surrounding tissue in a process called necrosis. This causes the skin to literally rot and fall off of your body. And if you don't catch it in time, that rot's gonna spread.
Yep.
If you're lucky, it'll only make you violently ill and leave permanent scarring. If you're unlucky, it just keeps spreading, and the venom starts to destroy your blood cells and shut your organs down. Now, there's kind of
Hey.
only one solution
That just sounds like the worst way to go.
to that, but you weren't using that arm anyway,
Yeah,
right?
again, the brown recluse is nothing to mess with.
Australia has a straight
It
up
is. It is the
Pokemon.
main villain.
Introducing the brush-tail possum, more specifically, the golden brush-tail possum. Native to the land down under and one of the rare
This thing is so cute, but the noise it makes is wild.
examples of an Australian animal that isn't expressly designed to DoorDash you straight to heaven. You see, the brush-tail is one of a grand total of 23 species of Australian possum.
Yeah. I used to have a sugar glider. He was so cute. He's probably my favorite thing in the world.
Which, despite the name, share absolutely no relation to the red-blooded American opossum. These adorable little marsupials come in all shapes and sizes, from the ringtail possum to the sugar glider, and
Yeah, Australian possums and the American version are different. And yeah, the American version is a lot less cuddly looking than the others. But don't let the cuteness of the Australian versions throw you off. They all have very painful bites and big teeth. Big teeth. So yeah, unless you like raise and tame it as a baby, I would not recommend ever approaching one in the wild.
to our protagonist here, the golden brushtail, which is really just a common brushtail possum with a rare genetic mutation called leucism that causes them to lose the pigment in their skin. So basically, it's a fucking shiny Pokemon. Coming in at around 4.5 kilos and 40 centimeters in length, these tree-dwelling marsupials are nocturnal and primarily herbivores, mainly consisting on a diet
Yeah.
of leaves and fruit. And for added cute points, as marsupials, yes, they carry around their babies in a little pouch like their roided
Yeah,
out
it's
cousin
cute.
the kangaroo. However, come on, the thing is from Australia,
That's how you get a sugar glider to bond with you. When you get them at a younger age, they give you these pouches with a little fleece pouch, and the sugar glider will hang out inside of it while you hold it, and it gets them used to the sound of your heartbeat and your smell, and they start to associate you as the parent. And so the sugar glider, if you get it young enough, will bond really, really strongly to a human.
didn't really think these bad boys would be squeaky clean, did ya? You see, they aren't entirely herbivores. Sure, they love a good salad. They will also quite happily raid a bird's nest and turn Tweety's kids into a 3-egg omelette. Roadkill? Sounds like a fine steak dinner to me.
And just because it's not a
That was vile.
venomous predator doesn't mean it can't take your fucking finger off. And the cherry on top, Aussie Pikachu here doesn't go Pika Pika. No, you see, Down Under doesn't have Pokemon trainers, because when you step into the tall grass out here, you hear this absolute fucking demon.
Oh, yeah. That screech. It's just, could you imagine not knowing what was out there? Would be terrifying. But foxes have a similar noise called the vixen scream, actually made, ironically, by the males during mating season, where they just let out this really high-pitched, like, terrifying screech that they use to try to find women.
Australia doesn't just have snakes and spiders. It has a tiger. Well, kinda.
This is so
Introducing the
sad. It didn't deserve this.
Thylacine, better known as the Tassie tiger, as the name suggests, native to my
This
home
one might
state
make
of
me mad.
Tasmania, this tiny little island off Australia's south coast. No, that is not New Zealand. They have hobbits, not tigers. Oh,
Yeah.
tiger isn't entirely correct. You see, the thylacine isn't a cat on steroids. You see, this bad boy is the largest carnivorous marsupial on the planet. Despite the kangaroo
Right.
coming in at 7 foot tall and throwing kicks like Chun-Li, they are herbivores. And
It was such a unique animal. And human stupidity and desire for money basically led to their extinction.
everything else of the pouch that eats meat is about the size of a
I'm
chihuahua,
sure he'll
making
talk
this
more
1.3
about
metre,
it.
20 kilo kangaroo dog with a tiger persona the only marsupial apex predator. See, these things
Uh-huh.
were ambush hunters, using stealth
One
and
of a
speed to
kind.
silently take down their prey like they're playing Assassin's Creed. On top of being a fully qualified Spec Ops agents, these things had a mouth on them to rival Kirby. Capable of opening their jaw a full 80 fucking degrees, which
Yeah,
is
look at that. That's
absolutely
fucking wild.
terrifying and really cool. There's just one small problem. You may have picked up on me talking mostly in the past tense, and that all of this footage is in black and white. That's
Uh-huh.
because we don't have a tiger. We had
Yep.
one. Unfortunately, the thylacine was driven to extinction in the late 1980s. By what exactly? The British.
Fucking people.
You see, when the Brits, did their thing and decided Tasmania was their house now, actually, they brought with them livestock, namely sheep and cattle, which was a fucking blessing
Yeah.
to the Tassie tiger, which rapidly added these walking meatballs with the survival instincts of a wet sock to their meal plans. It's free real estate. The colonists did not take kindly to the thylacine taking their livestock without a license in it, so they placed bounties
Fucking
on their
people.
heads. Never mind that these things never attacked humans and very rarely took their livestock. No,
Right.
they were
They
an
made-
inconvenience.
Such a small amount of a problem. And then humans just fucking eradicate everything. Like, I hate people sometimes.
And so, they were hunted down. One by one by one.
I've always said if I had to choose between helping a person and helping an animal, I've never had an animal treat me wrong in a way I couldn't explain. Humans do me wrong all the time. I'm helping the animal.
For 70 fucking years. Until September 7th, 1936, when the last thylacine, Benjamin,
God,
died cold and alone in a
Yeah.
cage at the Hobart Zoo.
fucking
Usually I'd end these with a joke, but the fact that he wiped his entire bloodline and turned him
Makes
into
me
a
mad.
fucking rug isn't that funny.
just so mad.
Australia just found a new record-breaking insect. But before I show him to you, how the f*** do we keep finding new bugs? You see, Australia
Right.
is home to an estimated 200,000 species of insect, which is pretty damn impressive, especially when you consider the only place you're going to find more bugs than that is by counting the f***ing roach population in Asmongold's walls.
Oh, Aspen catches strays everywhere.
Now, the scary part of this is that out of that 200k, we've
Ah.
only actually identified 62,000, meaning that we have no idea what nearly 3/4 of the bugs in the country actually.
I see, I was wanting to know how they figured that out. Because if you haven't discovered them, how can you accurately predict how many are left undiscovered? Would it be like biomass measurements or something like that? Figure out what the environment might be able to support? This never totally made sense to me.
Fucking do.
You like jazz?
And so it should come as no surprise that while exploring Australia's dense rainforests, two scientists discovered a new record holder for the largest insect in the land down under, and it's a fucking stick bug. Introducing Acrophila alta, and coming in at a full
Let me try to explain better, Genza. Where to start? Like, in an environment, what I mean by biomass is there'll be a certain amount of plants and other animals and stuff present that support predators and other wildlife as a food source. So I'm wondering, does when they give these figures for how many insects are undiscovered, how they figure that out? Because if you don't see them, then how can you accurately know what's there? And the only way I could figure they might be able to figure that out would be to account for biomass in the environment, and things that aren't making use of it. I don't know. I maybe starting to confuse myself here. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
40
I'm gonna look into it
centimeters
later.
and 44 grams in weight. I don't think that qualifies as a stick
That
insect
thing.
anymore.
It is massive.
That's fucking Groot.
Yeah.
Australia's very own Erd tree avatar was discovered in Queensland. Because of course it fucking was. And despite being enough inches in length to make any man jealous, it's actually completely harmless. However, given
Yeah.
how many oversized bugs we already have, if
The-
we find any
that thing.
more, I think they're gonna send the fucking Helldivers.
Possibly.
This is the world's biggest spider. But
Oh,
what
is that the bird eater?
the
I
fuck
think.
is it that big? Introducing Theraphosa blondie, a tarantula surprisingly not native to Australia for once. It's found on the
Hey.
other Tyranid hive continent, South America.
South
Now,
America.
let's address the elephant in the room. Yeah, this thing is fucking huge. Coming in at a frightening
Right.
175 grams in weight and 12 inches in leg span.
Damn, boy, he's thick.
And those legs are not the only place it's packing inches, because Shelob's cousin here is packing fangs that measure a
Yeah, it's massive. Like he said, a dinner plate. That's about accurate. That yeah, comes by its name. Honestly, it eats birds.
huge inch in.
In my country, I think we might have a couple species of tarantula, but I'm not sure. Let me check real quick. Largest spider in America. Yeah, we have a species of tarantula known as the Johnny Cash tarantula. Gets up to 6 inches. So reasonably large.
Length. For scale, that is like a 6-foot human packing canines the length of a fucking ruler. But the important question, why the fuck is it so big? And the answer is that I have withheld information from you.
Yep,
You
it's
see, I
correct.
introduced this girl by a Latin name. She's much better known as the Goliath bird eater tarantula. That's right, this EDF-sized spider, not unlike me, would fucking
EDF.
kill for some KFC. Literally. These bile titans will quite happily
Oh,
hunt
yeah.
birds, Remy, frogs, and even
Lizard.
and they do all of this without a fucking web. Yeah,
Yep, ambush hunter.
Goliaths are a pure melee build, hunting by prowling the jungle floor, sensing for movement with incredibly sensitive hairs on their legs. These hairs pick up vibrations in the air, which tell them when something is close. And once their spidey sense tells them that Remy's in range, they fucking jump him, biting him with those daggers they call fangs, and injecting
just-
him with
Why?
king neurotoxin. Can I go 1 week without covering neurotoxin? Of course this thing
No.
has it too. You know, I give up. I give up. They then drag their prey back to their burrow and spit up acidic digestive juices in order to suck their prey up through a f***ing straw.
That's just wild. Could you imagine if humans could do any of the weird shit that animals do? Like, there's this turtle. I think he mentioned it in the last video, that breathes through its ass. Like, it could stay underwater for weeks at a time because as long as it keeps its ass above water, it can breathe.
This spider hunts with jump scares. But how? Introducing the trapdoor spider, a family of arachnid containing hundreds of species found in every continent on the globe.
Yeah?
Meaning, yes, for once, this bad boy could be in your backyard and you'd never know.
Huh.
Now, trapdoor spiders are particularly interesting compared to other spiders due to their hunting method. You see, normal spiders tend to spend several hours spinning
I
up
wonder.
some elaborate art piece for a fly to clothesline itself on. And tarantulas...
Second.
Tarantulas just jump But trapdoor spiders, yeah, they hunt with a door. Very early on in
Oh,
life,
that
trapdoor
funnel.
spiders dig themselves a hole. This silk-lined
Trapdoor.
burrow will then serve as its home for basically its entire 20-year lifespan. Hell, they basically never leave the thing, like some neckbeard living in his...
Yeah. In Florida, we also have a trapdoor spider recently discovered, according to Google, called the Pine Rockland trapdoor spider. So, yeah, it could be right in my backyard.
mum's basement. But they've still got to eat, and since DoorDash does not deliver to spiders, this burrow doubles as their method for catching food. You see, they use their silk to craft a trapdoor over the burrow entrance. Then, using their fantastic arts and crafts skills, they just bolt a bunch of random shit to their front door so it blends in perfectly with the floor. After finishing their construction project, they will spin up a bunch of basically invisible strands of web on the floor in
There's
the
some
surrounding
wild
area
stuff
that
out
act
there.
as tripwires, feeding information back to their neckbeard nest whenever something steps on it. And when some unfortunate insect steps a little too close...
Money, money, money.
Could you imagine if they were like dog size? Just how terrifying a spider would be that just pops out of the ground out of nowhere.
This bird is...
Kind of like did you ever see that movie, Eight-Legged Freaks? It was about this small town where this guy Joshua had a spider farm where he sold exotic spiders. And there was this truck driving through the town, and it had a near accident, and it was carrying a bunch of radioactive waste and dropped it into one of the lakes near the city they were in. I can't remember what the name was, but the plot of the movie was that radiation infected the crickets and other insects, and the spiders that Joshua had, he was feeding them those crickets, and they got really, really big, like car-sized. And so the whole movie was the town fighting off these car and RV-sized spiders caused by radiation, which thankfully is not possible. But yeah, it was a fun movie. I liked it.
Vampire. Introducing the vampire.
If you do watch it, be prepared though. It's a very B-rated movie. low budget.
Vampire groundfinch, native to the Galapagos Islands, and a great example of the horrifying affronts to the universe that evolution can produce when it decides to do a little trolling. Now you see, at first glance, this is the most boring vampire you can possibly imagine. Coming in at a measly 12 centimeters
So
and a
cute.
mere 20 grams in weight.
Ooh, that's kind of small.
Rocking the
shut
feather
up.
pattern, I can
He's as big as he needs to be.
best describe as a Minecraft dirt block, and as it turns out, the bastards that wrote Twilight lied to me because it doesn't even fucking sparkle.
And, Genzo, I am an environmental scientist. Not specifically a biologist, but I know a lot about animals. They've been one of my key interests since I was a child. If there's one I don't know about, I'll go learn almost instantly everything I can about it.
Another killer, Bill.
So if it's missing fangs, angst, a cape, and the funny accent,
You must bounce on it.
Yeah,
How
I've
does
always
it
found animals far more interesting, trustworthy in the way that if it is going to attack me, I know why. The animal doesn't wrong you with no reason. You know, it's predictable in a certain way. But people are the ultimate throw off. I will always find animals more interesting, more worth my time than most people.
qualify as a vampire? Simple. Drinks a shitload of blood. You see, most birds eat seeds and insects, and while the vampire finch can eat those too, there is a problem. They live on an island, and that island is very small. In fact, they're only
Yeah.
found on 2 of the Galapagos Islands, and small islands means a far smaller amount of that food to go around.
To the point
Right.
where these finches can't rely on it as their sole source.
Which for a bird
Sure.
usually isn't a problem, because, you know, they don't need a plane ticket to just f off and fly somewhere. However, as
Yeah.
the name suggests, the vampire
There
ground
becomes a lot of competition. And you either have the population will cap out at a limit, or they have to find something else to eat.
finch can't fly for shit. So, how do they get their food? They suck it out of someone that can. This, don't laugh, is the Nazca booby. Hey, stop giggling.
Oh god. There are several species of booby, and every time I hear their name, I just revert to a child. I gotta
Back
laugh
there.
about
Another
them.
species of bird native to the islands. They are very strong flyers that feed on fish. They also nest on the islands, which is
Okay.
where our feathery Nosferatu comes to play. You see, when the boobies
Alright.
stop giggling, come to roost,
He's just like me, just a child.
the vampire finch will sneak over and hop onto
Mentally.
their back. Then, using their razor-sharp beak, they will poke a
Okay.
very small, borderline painless hole into one of the bird's flight feathers.
Alright, yeah, so if the biomass on the island can't support them through, like, normal food, then they replace that biomass with blood, which is still biomass, technically. But, yeah,
Once the blood
I didn't really have an, end point with that. I just kind of started talking.
is flowing freely, the vampire finch gorge themselves on it. See, as it turns out, blood is macro-friendly. And considering these
Hey,
things
it's a,
are living creatures,
low effort
they
meal.
just make more blood. In essence, giving the vampire finch an infinite food source. In fact, they can get so much blood from these birds, it is not uncommon to see multiple finches sucking from the same booby. I'm sorry, I can't say that shit without cracking up. A lot of people are scared of
God.
snakes. But have you ever wondered what snakes are scared of? The answer is
It's
this
us.
fucking bird.
That, but also us. Like, in all honesty, most snakes will never want anything to do with people. They try to avoid us as much as they can, minus a few that like to live in our houses. But, yeah, they know you're dangerous. They know you can probably eat them, and that's what they're afraid of. If it can, a snake will run away before fight you.
Introducing the secretary bird,
Hello,
native to the
Nira.
continent of
Welcome to Shrimp. We're just, watching some more bars. Listen to me go on about animals.
Africa, and a prime example that being a hater
How are you doing?
pays off. Coming in at 1.3 metres tall and 4.27 kilos in weight, this lanky turkey has been purpose-built, nay, expertly fucking engineered by the gods themselves with the sole purpose of violating the ever-loving
The secretary bird
out
is
of
wild.
any garden hose that so much as looks at it the wrong way.
Oh, yeah.
You see, these bad boys are birds of prey, but unlike their cousins in the same category,
Yeah, they're crazy too. Like, they can fly, but they really don't very often because of, like he said, what they hunt. And the way they do it, I'm sure he'll talk about it, but yeah, they just, I'll say they got mad kicks.
they are primarily terrestrial, which means they spend most of their time on the ground. This is because their preference for diet is sentient slithering sausages. However, with this thing being endemic to Africa,
Yeah, it doesn't really need to fly. It might as a means of escape from larger predators, but in order to hunt, it's pretty much a ground-based activity.
their preferred meal also just happens to include some of the deadliest predators on the
Oh my god, the utter disrespect. It's like a third time he's popped him up since I've watched his videos.
fucking planet. Does this stop the secretary bird?
Nope.
No, mate. Despite having no natural venom resistance, these
Yeah,
absolute
listen to this.
giga chads will eat cobras, boom slangs, and black mambas without breaking a sweat. But how do they hunt these things without getting bitten? Simple. They just kick the out of them.
Yep. Their accuracy is wild. They, like, rarely miss one of those stumps.
You see, those long-ass legs aren't just for show, as a secretary bird is capable
Legs for
of
days.
accurately curb-stomping a snake's head into the ground with a force equal to 5 times their fucking body weight. So when a secretary bird fancies a bite to eat, they start out by stomping the ground around dense
Yeah.
vegetation. This causes
It's
snakes in
crazy.
the area
It's a smart
to
move.
poke their heads out of their houses to see what the is going on. The snake then looks up in horror as the secretary bird locks onto him,
Yep,
sprints
you're
over
done now.
at Mach 9, and then...
Yeah, it's basically the bird version of a mongoose. Like, purpose-built to kill snakes.
This bird is a serial killer.
Mongooses are especially crazy, though. Like, they, have a built-in venom resistance due to their metabolism. They, actually will work out the venom faster than it can kill them. Like, if they take a bite, on the rare occasion that they're not fast enough to dodge it, they, will just kind of pass out for a while. They don't die. And after about a half hour or so, they just wake up, carry on about their day.
Jesus f***ing Christ, you're the Bay Harbor Butcher.
I really hate that name.
Introducing the Shrike, a group of feathery
This
friends
guy,
found all
he's
over the
cute.
world, including the
Cute,
land down
but
under.
brutal.
Now, at first glance, you may be thinking to yourself, fucking butcher birds. Yeah, that's right, the Dexter jokes actually had a fucking point. Now, you see, when the Bay Harbor butcher bird
Oh,
wants to hunt,
we're back.
they first start by selecting
Sorry,
a target.
Tonight.
stream died for a second. Everyone back? Still here? Or I'll wait a sec.
Tonight.
Now, unlike Dexter, their code tells them they can eat whatever the they want. Insects, mice, me, even
Lizard.
And once they pick their meal, they wait for the right moment and swoop on it. Now,
Yeah.
while those claws might be fucking useless, they do have a signature weapon.
Yeah.
That tiny hook on the end of their beak. And once they
Yeah.
land on their victim,
They
they
get brutal
slide
with that. Like, I think he'll describe it, but they are brutal birds.
that hook into its neck, perfectly slotting between their vertebrae and severing their fucking spinal cord. But converting their prey into a vegetable isn't enough. No. These sick fucks keep trophies. Once they have paralyzed their prey and shattered its spine, they will fly its corpse back to their larder, which is either a thorn bush or a
Yeah.
fucking barbed wire fence.
And once they get home, they fucking impale them.
Yeah. It's
They will
wild.
then leave
Yeah,
that
just-
corpse
yeah.
there for days,
Bacon in the
occasionally
sun.
biting chunks out of it, eating it like leftovers from the fucking fridge.
Yep.
Next
Makes dirty for itself. Dehydrates it.
to collected blood slides, these fuckers create kebabs.
Yep. That's some messed up little ways animals find food out there.
This crab is a boxer.
This guy's neat.
That's right, stepping
It's really sad what it does to the enemies, though. I don't know if he'll mention it, but I'll tell you if he
in the
doesn't.
ring at 0.15 grams and a huge 2.5 centimeters in length. It's the boxer crab. You see, while most crabs use their pinchers to feed and defend themselves, the
Yeah, he don't
boxer
got
crab
that
has
claws.
instead elected to spec into CQC and throw fucking hands. And despite their completely average and not at all small size, this fucker fights in the heavyweight division, able to punch out hundreds of times
Yeah,
its
it's
size.
wild.
But how does nature's little
It basically, yeah, I think he's gonna talk
Mac
about it.
win the fights? Well, that's pretty simple.
Yeah,
He
listen to what it
fucking
does. That's crazy.
You see, those little pom-poms aren't a fashion choice. Those
Yep.
are both sea anemone.
An enemy.
That the boxer crab holds in its claws to use as basically fucking brass knuckles. Now, they get these anemones by finding other boxer crabs who have them, jumping them, and
Really?
then claiming them like they are a fucking WWE title.
Yeah, the first one had to claim it from somewhere, though. I bet you can find small anemones on the reef and just claim those.
Belt. Now, if you weren't aware, anemones are venomous plant-like animals that, in order not to get eaten, sting the shit out of anything that touches them.
Yep.
Boxer crabs are immune to that sting, but you bet your ass
So are clownfish. That's why they lay their eggs in them. The clownfish will keep the anemone safe, stop other fish from trying to eat it, and in return, the anemone provides a safe spot for the clownfish to raise its young.
that everything that tries to eat the boxer crab isn't. So, the crab and the anemone enter into a symbiotic relationship, essentially becoming an aquatic venom, with the anemone getting some of the crab's food, and the crab gaining venomous brass knuckles.
Yeah.
So, whenever a predator gets in the ring with Crab Tyson here, he'll wait for it to get just within striking range, and then...
Mr. Squidward, I should kick your f***ing ass!
Yeah, so he kinda glazed over it. The anemones that it puts on its shell, while they do get bits of food, the crab tries to limit that because it doesn't want the anemone to grow. So in order to keep its growth stunted, it limits the amount of food the anemone gets so it doesn't outgrow the clods.
Scientists just discovered a new fish. Looks fucking ridiculous. This is the bumpy snailfish. A
This
freshly
guy.
discovered
It's so fucking derpy. I love it. It's one of my favorite things ever.
species found off the coast of California. What makes this absolute specimen stick out is that it's a deep sea fish found at a depth of 3 kilometers. And I am here to tell you exactly why. Because once God finished building this thing, he took a step back, looked at it, realized exactly how fucking chopped it was, and punted that thing into the depths of the ocean where no one would ever see it again.
Be free!
However, thanks to the hubris
Yeah, it's kind of a pattern with deep sea fish. They're all really weird looking. I can't tell you the evolutionary purpose behind it. Like, I get certain things. They have whites that draw prey to them. They have other little protective things, like they're really small, or their color on the bottom stops you from being able to see them if they're above you or something like that. But I never understood why they're all ugly as sin.
of mankind, it is here before us today to take the piss out of.
Look at the top of his head.
I mean, fucking look at it. It is a
I mean, yeah, he looks like a little swimming testicle. I'm not gonna lie. Little ball
profoundly
sack fish.
unserious creature. I do not think a single fucking thought has ever spawned behind those eyes.
No, of course not. Why would he need to think?
Not to mention the
I
fit
just
on
flip.
it. It looks like an aquatic, uncooked turkey with a fucking smiley face drawn on it. Coming in at a solid 3 inches in length, Bumpy here is not the only species of snailfish. There's others that look like this. However, unlike his cousins,
Interesting.
God deemed it so that this poor little f***er would be built like a shaved testicle. The scientific term for a pair of these should be a sack. However, despite the fact that he looks like a sperm cell with a receding hairline, I love him.
Me
He's
too.
so cute.
He's so
Look
cute.
at that smile.
Right. He's just
Reminds me of
adorable.
Sackboy on the PS3. I know when they got his ass on camera, he looked at it and went,
You know, when you showed me up, you put some of the stuff in the wrong places, so I'm a little f***ed up.
No,
But
but
will you take care of me forever and ever?
do you enjoy playing support? Do you like the idea?
Alright, then I guess the end of that video. Watch this one next stream. But I am going to take a short break, walk my dog, and I'll be back.